So chances are, if you clicked on this video, you are looking for advice. You want to get better, you want to grow. And in the next however so many minutes, I'm basically going to teach you guys as much as I can. A little bit about me. My name is Charlie, and I am a 32-year-old entrepreneur living in Southern California. Turned 32 just a few weeks ago. And yeah, I became a millionaire by the age of, I think, 27, 28. It's been about 4 years since then. And I've just, learned a lot of things. So this video is going to be completely unscripted. I just have a bunch of bullet points I want to talk about on this notebook. Hopefully there's not going to be too many cuts. And yeah, I'm just basically going to share with you guys a ton of lessons that will help you be more rich, more wealthy, and more happy. And who does this apply to? I'd say anyone in their teens, in their 20s, 30s, even 40s or 50s, right? I really do believe that we can learn from anyone. Doesn't matter where you are in life. Everyone has wisdom, and I'm basically going to share whatever wisdom I have with you today. I don't do paid consulting anymore, but if I did, this is basically what I would teach you guys. So it's going to be completely free. It's everything that I've spent, so many years learning, read so many books, podcasts, done a good amount of things in my life so far. Hopefully this video can inspire you, because what they say is true. Nothing happens without first being inspired. So hopefully this can be one of the things that inspires you. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is I want to ask you a question. What is your version of freedom? What do you consider a successful and, ultimately fulfilled life? Because this is going to be different for everyone. Let me get out my iPad right here, and I want to draw something just to, sort of illustrate it. But yeah, this is you, right? You are on this world. That's my drawing of a world. And this is a really important question. I think, a lot of people, they think about it, but they don't actually think about it. It's definitely something that you should sit down for at least 10, 20 minutes and write down your thoughts. But yeah, everyone's definition of success, fulfillment, a successful life is going to be different. So I want you guys to think what that definition is for you. And I'll tell you guys what that is for me. For me, I want to enjoy life doing a bunch of things that I enjoy doing while making good money and having complete freedom. So yeah, there's definitely a few components, but the financial success, that it definitely is important. I think that's one of the most easy things that we can use to sort of rank how we are doing in life. While that is good, it can also be bad, because a lot of people, they only rank their life based on how much money they make. That is a huge L. And if you fall into that category, I highly encourage you to sort of get out of it, right? I started off my entrepreneurial journey, really thinking that money was going to make everything better. Certainly it does up to a point, but after that, it doesn't really matter that much. You're gonna buy the nice things. You're going to get the nice apartments. You're going to be able to enjoy nicer vacations and eat out. And that all is great, but it's not going to bring you the ultimate joy and fulfillment in your life. You will find that out once you get to that stage of your life. So in terms of money, right? I think a lot of people, they want to be billionaires. I think that is actually the wrong move. You probably do not want to be a billionaire. For me, I definitely do not. I have seen billionaires, and while they do have, pretty extraordinary lives, most of them, they aren't that happy. What I will say is, if you get to that top 0.0001% or whatever it is of wealth, there have to be sacrifices along the way. There's no way you can do this without having a ton of sacrifices that ultimately I think most people don't want to have in their lives. Yes, maybe some select few people are going to be happy becoming billionaires, but for most of you, I don't think that is going to make you have a good life. Besides the money aspect of life, there are so many other things that you need to be looking at. So fulfillment is basically going to be, what things are you doing on a day-to-day basis that actually bring you joy? Now for me, working for someone was pretty much always out of the question. I always knew that I didn't want to have a boss. I didn't want to have a set schedule that I followed every single day, because for me, that was sort of mundane. I wanted to be able to go out, have lunch whenever I wanted to, hit the gym at 2 p.m., at 7 a.m., at 5 p.m., 10 p.m., whatever time it is. I don't want to have things on my calendar, right? I don't want to have scheduled meetings. I want to just be fully in control of my time. And if there is something on my calendar, it better be something that I get some fulfillment doing. So yeah, I don't want to spend too much more time on this topic, but think about what your definition of freedom is. Write it down, and that should give you some more clarity on what you actually want in life, so you can actually reach those goals. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is going to be risk. You need to want risk because risk is, in my opinion, the greatest concept in life. It's something that a lot of people are scared about, but without risk, there's never good things. And I'll basically talk about why I think this is the case. Basically, in my life, every good thing that's happened to me has been because I took some type of risk. A risk basically means that there is a good outcome and there is a failed outcome. And a lot of people, they immediately think failure and they think bad and they assign all these horrible names or labels to the bad side of risk, right? What I want you guys to realize is that both of these can be good. Bad can be good and good can be good too. What's important though is that there is this sort of fork in the road of uncertainty. And a lot of people, they also hear uncertainty and that scares the crap out of them. For some reason, I've always been okay with uncertainty because I think I've really taken on this definition that risk is what has created everything that's good in my life. It's what has created everything good in most people's lives. And without risk, without fully taking risk on, you will likely live a pretty just normal average life. If you're watching this video, I don't think that's what you want. I think you want to live an exceptional life. If you want to make a ton of money, you will, I guarantee you, 100% always need to take risk. If you want to make good investments with your money, always going to take risk. If you want to build the dream business of your life, it's going to require risk. If you want to meet your dream partner, it's going to take you going out there, risking things, being vulnerable to find that partner. But the great thing about risk is that there's something called asymmetric risk. The great thing about the human brain is that we can calculate things and we can make informed decisions that actually result in asymmetric risk, right? So basically what I'm trying to say here is, yes, you can take risks. If you take blind risks, then let's say there is a 50% chance of the bad, which is still fine, and a 50% chance of good. That's a pretty optimistic view of the ratios. It might actually be like 80% bad and 20% good, whatever it is. But if you introduce calculated risk, if you introduce knowledge, if you introduce being prepared, then it's really going to skew our chances in favor of us. We'll talk more about knowledge, all that stuff, all these things that you can do to prepare to take on risk later on in this video. But essentially, we are in control of tipping the seesaw. The more of these great things we introduce, like knowledge and whatever, into our lives, the more likely we are to take on risks that actually are not risks. We are more likely to win, right? And so please, guys, look this up, embrace it, write it on your phone, write it on your wall, whatever it is, and always look at this word. Because the most wealthy, the happiest people, the people with the best experiences in life, they are basically practicing what's called asymmetric risk. And I know a lot of people are in situations where it might not be possible to take as much risk. I can fully understand that. But if you do not have the money to bet, you can also bet with your time, with your efforts. And if you don't have that, then yeah, it is definitely harder. But if you need it to happen in your life, you can make it happen. This is also why it's so important to start as early as you can. The most important risks you take in life are going to be when you are in your teens or your 20s. After that, that's when you likely will start, building a family, you'll have a kid, you'll have bigger bills and things to worry about. And it's going to make taking risks quite a bit more challenging. So the earlier you can do it, the better. And while we're talking about risk, I want to talk about failure, right? Like I said earlier, there's bad and there's good. The bad's actually good because you are learning, you're gaining experiences, you're gaining knowledge, and you likely won't make those mistakes in the future. Failure plays along with this because you need to embrace failure. You need to sort of chase failure because I truly believe that anyone that has done great in their lives has gone through a ton of failure. For me, I've built so many businesses. I've tried so many different things, tried to learn so many different skills, and I have technically failed at a lot of them. But those failures have gotten me to where I am today. Those failures have allowed me to take on this asymmetrical risk and basically be a lot more calculated with the types of risks and things I choose to do. And that's helped me a lot. So I'm gonna write this. Failure is amazing. It's needed. So if you haven't failed that much yet, you're not doing enough things. You're not putting yourself in enough situations where you can fail. So I'd say try more things. Be okay with this, and I guarantee you your life is going to really get so much better. Personally for me, when I started making YouTube videos, I was not good on camera. I can say this extremely directly. I think I privated most of the videos I did, but I'm not a natural public speaker. I'm not a natural on-camera speaker like this. Doing even this video, right? I'm pretty scared because it's a very raw video. It's just me talking to the camera. no big edits, I could fail. And I'm okay with that because I know that I tried, I know that I learned in the process, and I know that some of these things I tried that could fail could do really, really well. The next thing I want to talk about is the fact that you need speed. You need to be as fast as you can. I think a lot of people, they procrastinate, right? I think procrastination has become this word that you can easily just say to give yourself an excuse, right? Oh, I procrastinated on this assignment. I procrastinated on starting that business that I want to do. I procrastinated on learning piano, whatever it is. What I will say is that the most successful people that I've met personally in my life all take on speed as one of their most important attributes. What I mean by this is they just move at lightning fast speed. For example, you are networking with some people and you're like, oh, I know this person that you should meet. They have this type of business that could, relate to yours. You guys can talk, maybe work out a deal together, whatever it is. The people that are really successful, they will take out their phones. They will make that introduction literally on the spot within seconds. So they'll send a group a text with both people in it, introduce them, and that literally happens on the spot, right? So that's just a very clear, but small example of what speed actually looks like in real life. They're also extremely fast at responding to texts, at emails. This is definitely something that I need to get better at. And if you think about it, it makes sense why speed is such an important thing. Can you imagine how much more stuff you can do in life that can help you get to your goals faster if you actually do things at the speed of light? Like if you could do 2,000 things today that ultimately get you to your goals, think about how fast that is going to take you. Obviously 2,000 things in one day is not possible, but you sort of get the point, right? If you can do, let's say 5 things or 10 things versus what most people might do, which is, let's say 2 or 3 things, then the speed basically compounds on each other. It results in exponential growth for you in your life. And so I want you to sort of look at the speed in which you do things. Is it fast? Is it slow? Always make it faster if you can. I remember when I was a real estate agent back in the day, one day I remember thinking, hey, I want to be my own broker. I want to open up my own real estate brokerage, have agents under me, and sort of sell homes that way. And literally within one day, I had signed up for my broker's education and I had already committed to, starting up my brokerage. I probably bought the domain, all these different things. Once I started to see the speed in which I moved, that's when I was pretty confident in myself. And I basically knew that whatever I want to do in life, I could do it because of that speed. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is setting real goals. Most people, they just set money goals. They say, I want to make $10,000 per month. I want to make $50,000 per month, whatever that number is. Let's say I want to start with, say, $10,000 per month in revenue, right? This is our goal. Now, this type of goal doesn't actually really work because the only thing you're measuring is the money coming in, and money coming in depends on so many other different factors. Those are the factors that we want to focus on. So when I say I want to make $10,000 per month, I need to think about what actions and things I need to do to make those $10,000 per month. And these are things I can actually measure and hold myself accountable on. So let's say you're in social media, right? Let's say you want to make 20 videos per month. This is an action that you can actually do. If you do 20 videos per month, that is directly going to correlate with you potentially making more money. Let's say you're in consulting and you want to work with, let's say, 3 different clients. You want to onboard 3 clients in 1 month, and that gets you to that $10,000 per month goal. This is something that you are in control of. This is something that you can actually measure on a day-to-day basis. And so these are just 2 different little examples of what I mean by this. But yeah, the whole point of this is the types of goals that you set should not just be monetary goals. They should be broken down into the actual actions you can do on a day-to-day basis that will get you to those goals. And this applies to everything in life. I just want to do this example with money because this seems to be the most common goal that people have. Just encourage you guys to break it down and actually focus on the actions that will get you there. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is delegating your money. Once you start making some money, it's going to be extremely important that you put that money to use. And if you're not at this level yet, where you have a ton of disposable income, that's totally okay. I still want you guys to know this concept because it's very important. Now, let's think about what money is actually good for. Money can help us buy necessities. It can house us. It can buy us food. It can buy us clothes. It can buy us experiences, all that stuff. But one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that money is really good at making more money. If you have spare money and you delegate correctly and strategically with asymmetric risk, that is going to make you way more money than probably your job or your business or whatever it is. And so the reason why this is so important is because you want to understand money, you want to understand personal finance, you want to understand, of course, like I said earlier, the asymmetric risk with your money, and you need to just take that action and put your money to use. It should not sit in your checkings account. It should not sit in your savings account. It should be out there doing actual work, because work is basically like having an employee. It's like having a resource that can self-generate into more resources. And so learning the importance of investing your money into things like stocks. If you don't have that much money to start with, I'd actually say that investing in stock and things like that, it's not that important. Yes, you do want to get started, invest a little bit of money just to get the ball rolling and to get in the habit of allocating money aside into index funds and things like that. But the majority of your money should not be put into those types of things, because if you don't have that much money, that's not going to grow that much. It's not going to create life-changing wealth. It's not going to create freedom. Instead, you want to delegate money into yourself, into your self-education, into hiring team members, into running your own business, things like that. Things where you are way more in control, because I guarantee you, let's say you get 10% per year in the S&P 500, right? That's great. That's something that everyone should be invested into. That's something that I'm definitely invested into. But I will say, if you do delegating money correctly and you put it into things like yourself, your business, whatever it is, that 10% is going to look like pennies. You should easily be able to get 30%, 50%, 2000%, these astronomical returns when you delegate money in those more risky ways, right? So we're talking about risk again, but like I said, on the other side of risk is always these astronomical gains, these great things that you probably want if you're watching this video. If you take the safe road, invest in index funds, it is great, right? You will get rich doing that, but you're not going to get ultra rich. You're not going to build your dream business. You'll have an above average life. I will say that, because most people, they don't invest in the S&P 500, but all the millionaires, all the multi-millionaires, they get really good at delegating their money into other things. So I really want you to spend some resources and time figuring out how you want to delegate your money, learn personal finance, learn investing, and start taking more asymmetrical risk with your money. Oh, and by the way, gambling is not an asymmetrical risk, because the house always has an advantage, and there's basically no way to tip that in your favor. You might be wondering, what does Charlie do with his money? How does he delegate his money personally? I will say that a chunk of it goes into very standard investments. A chunk of it goes into crypto. These are things that I believe in, but the majority of it actually goes into running the business, hiring team members, buying software, developing tools, all these things that help me make more money in my business. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is learning. This is so important. Yeah, everything we're talking about today is very important, but learning is something that everyone can do. It's something that doesn't take that much risk. It's something that you can do for free with the internet these days. And so the point of this little section is to say that learning is perhaps one of the greatest actions you can do to propel yourself to the life that you want. I want you to be learning every single day. I really mean it. Every single moment you are awake, you can be learning. And of course, you don't need to learn 24/7, but think about how many hours you have in a day. Think about how much you can learn in the span of, let's just say, 5 minutes, right? If you have a conversation with someone, you can absolutely learn so much in 5 minutes. And if we multiply this, if we scale this, then the amount of new knowledge that you can introduce into your brain every single day is just insane. And I want to write this a little proverb that I like. It's by Confucius. I don't even know how to write Confucius. Okay, so here it is. I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I understand. Learning is not just taking on new information, right? Learning is way more complex than that, and there are multiple layers that you really need to get through in order to fully learn. So by watching this video, you guys are hearing the words that I speak. And hearing, it is good. It can sort of change your mindset a bit, but it's probably not going to change your actions that much. I guess you're also technically sort of seeing me talk to you, so that definitely does help a little bit and sort of takes you into that second layer of learning. But until you actually do something, then you're understanding of what I'm saying, it's not going to be that in depth. It's not going to really hit. And with learning, the whole concept is you want to do things until they hit. You want to hear it enough times, you want to see it enough times, and you actually want to do it enough times so that it sticks into your head and you actually incorporate it into your daily life. Whenever I am actively learning, I am always going to try to write things down because that is some type of action and it makes it so that I can sort of review what I'm learning about later on. And that definitely does help, right? That's why I say whenever you're learning, write it down, have some type of notebook like this where you write things down, maybe even have the notes app on your phone, write things down. And the daily practice I do for this is when I listen to podcasts, when I watch certain videos online and I'm trying to learn, I'll actually write these things down in my phone. I basically have a note in my iPhone that contains pages and pages of little things and tidbits I get from listening to these podcasts. So whenever I hear something that really resonates with me, that I think, oh, this is good, I will type it into my phone. And then every single week, I'm gonna go through that list, actually reread it and analyze whether or not those things are actually taking place in my life. Right now with the internet, there are so many ways you can learn. It's just really incredible because these types of conversations, all this information, used to not be that accessible, right? But now it is. Literally anyone with a computer or a phone, whatever it is, with an internet connection can go online and have access to pretty much the same information as anyone else in the world. Can you imagine being able to sit down with, for example, the CEO of NVIDIA and listen in on him having a conversation with someone else about everything that's going on? Well, that is completely possible now. And the amount of information that I've learned from podcasts and these conversations on YouTube is just incredible. If you're not taking advantage of this, I think it puts you at a huge disadvantage because the people that are looking to get really ahead in life, the people that are looking to constantly learn, they are actually watching this type of information on a day-to-day basis. And let's also talk about books because I think that is something that really catapulted my entrepreneurial journey. Some of the first few books I read had such a massive impact on my life. You might be thinking, Charlie, yeah, a book can be good, but can it actually change your life? And I will say this, yes, it can absolutely change your life. If you get inspired enough by a book, it will absolutely turn into actions. And an example of this was The Miracle Morning. It's one of the first self-help books that I read back in maybe 2018, 2019. When I read that book, I was like, I need to start waking up early. I need to switch up my whole schedule and I need to do this morning routine. That gave me so much momentum. That helped me, read more. It helped me take on this different mindset in life. And I will say that completely changed my life. Another book was Who Not How, right? This book is about hiring and delegating, something that I personally am not the most strong at. And so when I read that book, it really clicked that if I wanted to build a real business, I would have to have other people help me. I could not do it myself alone because I think a lot of people, they want to do everything themselves, which can be good at the start. But if you want to get really good, you need to hire, you need to delegate, you need to manage people. And so these are two examples of books that had real life consequences, I guess not consequences, but positives on my life. And they just changed the trajectory of how I go about everything. So please, if you have spare time, which I guarantee you do, spend it learning. At the gym, listen to podcasts instead of music. When you wake up, maybe read 10 to 20 minutes, something that's very doable and something that allows you to be consistent. If you're out on a long drive, instead of just blasting music and not really doing anything, put on a great podcast or an audiobook. There's actually so much downtime we have in life that we can spend learning. And if you do that, I don't know what else to say. Your life will just get a lot better. You're going to grow faster and you're going to be better prepared for finding opportunities when you see them. And you're going to be better at latching onto opportunities when they float by. We'll talk more about that later on in this video. Okay, let's talk about haters. You might be wondering, what does Charlie actually mean by that? There are too many haters in this world that just go online and they say things to make themselves feel better. They are basically projecting their own insecurities. I know you guys have heard this and it's not always true, but I think there are just too many people out there that get fulfillment from saying negative things. One thing I'll say is you will never find a single hateful or negative comment from me on social media. I refuse to do it. I will never do it. And if you see something from me that is hateful or whatever, it's because I've been hacked. So it wasn't actually me. Hating also relates to fear, because I think a lot of people, they want to do things, but they are also afraid of how other people are going to perceive them. They're thinking, oh, if I start making YouTube videos, people in my life, my friends, they're going to judge me. They're going to be like, hey, why is Charlie in his bedroom making these dumb videos? It's not going to work out. They're afraid of that type of judgment. They're afraid of that type of hating. Hating doesn't have to come from strangers, by the way. It can actually come from people that you are super, super close with. And the point of this whole section is to just sort of emphasize that hate is always going to be out there. You're always going to get judgments from people, but that is normal. And if you can't ignore that, if you can't sweep it under the rug, and if you're always affected by it, that's going to severely detract from your potential. If it makes you feel better, I will say that people hate because it gives them some power. The people that hate the most are people that aren't really doing things in their lives. They are insecure about things, and really the easiest way that they can make themselves have some type of power or, fulfillment or whatever is by going online and saying mean things. Instant dopamine rush. And I will say it's not always personal. A lot of people, they'll say something hurtful, let's say on a comment on a YouTube video, but they don't actually mean it to you personally. They're only saying that for their own personal gain, right? It doesn't really have anything to do with you. So the earlier you understand that, the easier it's going to be for you to sort of wave off hate online or wherever it is, judgment. And the other thing with this is yourself do not want to be a hater, because it puts you in a certain mindset that you can get fulfillment, that you can feel better about yourself by just putting down other people. Once you get to that area, it's very, very dangerous, because that is so much easier than self-improvement, working on yourself, working on your business, and actually chasing your own goals. That's a lot harder than just logging on to Instagram and saying some mean thing. They're just saying that want to chase is not the hate type of dopamine. It's the dopamine you actually get from your actions in your own life. So the next thing I want to talk about is your environment. This is something that's had a profound impact on my life, for the worse and also for the better. So basically, before 2019, I was living in LA, Los Angeles, and I had basically stayed there after college, and I had great friends, but most of these friends were not entrepreneurs. And I've always been pretty entrepreneurial. I've always been doing my own businesses, doing my own side hustles. And so this type of environment was just really challenging for me, because there was almost no one that I could talk to and be inspired by and bounce ideas off of and learn with. I had no friends that were building their own businesses. Everyone had a great 9-to-5 job. I guess along with that made me feel like, am I doing good enough? Like, why am I trying to hustle and do these things when I could just go out there and get a job, especially with my, college degree? It wasn't until I moved to Orange County. So I went from LA to Orange County. It's only about a 50-mile drive down south, but for me, it was a completely different environment. And this is basically where I started to thrive. This is where I really pursued my real estate journey, got my mortgage license, started doing more risky things. A huge reason for that is because of the people that I met. Most of my friends in Orange County, they are entrepreneurs. And so building businesses, talking about business, talking about, say, marketing, investing, all these things is extremely common, right? With most of my friends these days in Orange County, we spend a lot of time discussing business, helping each other out, motivating each other, all those things that have really helped me. And so what I will say with this is, if you are not in the correct environment, you are at a huge disadvantage. If you graduate college, you have a ton of friends that are, doing well with their 9-to-5 jobs, but that's not something you want yourself. One piece of advice I want to give you is try and leave. Move somewhere new, move to a new city, move to a new state. This is uncomfortable. It's risky, right? But like I said earlier, on the other side of risk is always the best things in life. And so yeah, this move changed my life. It has helped me so much being in environments where I'm around like-minded people. And if you yourself are not in that type of environment, you need to go out there and chase it. You need to go out there and find those people. If you want to become an entrepreneur, let's say, join entrepreneurship groups. These types of groups are literally everywhere. If you're in college, there's for sure an entrepreneurial group, student group. Talk to more people. Ask them what they do for a living, right? This is something that I do a lot now these days. And this quote has been absolutely beaten to the ground, said probably every 0.5 milliseconds, but that is, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. I hate saying it because it's just oversaid, but it is true. And I'm not saying only find friends that can help you in business. I'm saying find friends that can make you a better person. Find friends that are on a similar journey as yourself, and find friends where the average topic of conversation isn't about going out, drinking, all that stuff. It should be about the things that you want to get good at in your life. So for example, if you want to build a business, find other people that are also building a business. A lot of the breakthroughs that I've had in my own entrepreneurial journey have come from my friends and the input that I've received from them. The next thing I want to say is you need to stop scrolling and start learning. Social media is something that I think is great, but can also be extremely detrimental for most of the population. Most of the population is going to get caught in death scrolling. That's what I call it, where you just sit down, scroll on TikTok, Instagram Reels, whatever it is, watch entertaining content that doesn't actually help you live a better life. Yes, it is entertaining, it's funny, it can be relatable, but most of this content doesn't really do you any good, and you're going to completely forget about it within, let's say, 30 seconds. You can absolutely use social media to your advantage, and it just really comes down to your intent and the types of content that you are yourself watching. I even still watch the entertainment stuff. Like I scroll TikTok sometimes, I scroll Instagram Reels. It is entertaining for me. It's a good de-stressor, but the majority of the time I'm on social media, it's not listening to that type of content. It's actually looking at content that I learned from. So I'd say that if I were to break down my time spent in a day, maybe at least 30 to 60 or 90 minutes is going to be spent on YouTube watching videos that I learned from. Sometimes I'll watch, entertaining car videos or whatever, but most of the videos I watch, I'm actually learning. For example, I just started swimming and my entire homepage is now just swim videos, like swim lessons, techniques. And so I essentially have used social media to my advantage, right? So many people out there, extremely talented, creating great educational videos about swimming. And I am here watching these videos for free, learning how to swim for free. This applies to any topic you want to learn. I probably should have talked about this in the learning section. But yeah, social media, it does somewhat have a bad reputation sometimes. And that's just because it's the wrong type of content, right? There's a lot of really bad content that actually is, making you probably a worse person. But if you go out there and selectively find the right types of content, choose to be inspired and learn from that type of content, and actively seek it out, social media can be one of the best things in the world. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is efficiency. Strive to be as efficient as you possibly can be. Everyone has 24 hours in a day, which seems like a lot, but actually, for most people, they don't seem to get that much done in those 24 hours. And one big reason for that is because they are just extremely not efficient with their time. There are probably so many things you are doing in your current day-to-day life that are not efficient. And I'm not trying to sit here and say, everything should be tracked by the second. You need to know everything you're doing minute by minute. And if you're not making money, you're doing it wrong, right? That's not what I'm saying. But there are certain things that you are probably doing that could be a lot more efficient. You could be saving more time and spending that energy on things that actually help you move forward in life. So a very easy example of this, at least for me, is going to be cleaning my house and also grocery shopping. If you think about it, the average person spends a huge amount of mental energy on these things. And while I think energy is not really capped at a point, I think that most people, if they do all these other things, they're going to have less energy spent on reading, on learning, on building their business, learning about investing, all that stuff. And so for me, I'm going to try whatever I can do to remove those things so that I don't need to focus on them. I have a housekeeper that comes twice a week. It is probably some of the best money that I've ever spent. In terms of food, I'll cook for fun sometimes, but a lot of the meals I have, they're going to be from Postmates, or if I do get groceries, I'm basically going to use certain apps to get those groceries delivered to me. I really like using Instacart for Costco deliveries. I really like We. That's a great app for buying Asian groceries. And then also really enjoy using Walmart Plus. That's probably the most affordable way to get groceries delivered to you because it's like one flat fee of, let's say, $100 per year, and you get unlimited free deliveries. There's also tons of efficiency you can do with your work life, right? I used to think that working hard was everything, but you can work hard on the wrong things and not get that far. Personally, I choose to work really hard on things that are very efficient, that are leveraged, that multiply my time. And as a result, I have really high output compared to most most people. If you're watching this video, you probably have learned how to use ChatGPT. And if you haven't, definitely learn that right now, because that is a prime example of some skill or product or platform you can use to make your life more efficient. With AI, there are so many tools out there. So I'm gonna get into more business stuff right now. But if you're running a business and you're not using AI tools, like a lot of them, you're not doing your job as CEO properly. You should be trying to identify all the things that are happening within your business that could be more streamlined and more efficient. And I guarantee you, there are gonna be so many tools out there that do just that. Right? Like spending, let's say $20 per month on a software that saves you and your team 30 hours per week. That is huge. And if you can keep embracing efficiency and leverage like that, then your business output is going to drastically increase, while your business input, your time input, all that stuff is going to get a lot smaller. Right now, between my businesses, I have about 45 people, and the output of my businesses is probably more in line with having a 100-person team. And the reason for that is not because I have only the most amazing people that are working, 30 hours per day. Rather, it's because they are properly using tools to make their work more efficient. And that also relates to utilizing an international workforce. If you are not using an international workforce, it's the same thing as not using AI tools in your business. It's the same thing as not investing your money properly, whatever it is. I started my overseas staffing company called Paired because I was using international workers for my own business, and I was thinking it just doesn't make sense for anyone to hire in the US for a lot of these positions when it can be done overseas for about 80-90% less with the same results, right? Like humanity, it's all about optimization. In the last 100 years, everything has been optimized. Everything has become more efficient. And I think with the workforce, people are starting to realize that it just doesn't make sense to only hire in the US. Yes, you can have your US team. I still have a small team in the US, but if you're not using workers from other countries, but if you're not embracing this shift of utilizing overseas workers, you're doing your business a huge disservice. Your profit margins are probably a lot less than they could be. And yeah, that's just one aspect of efficiency and leverage that a lot of people aren't doing, but they should be doing it. So if there's anything I can say about this point, it is to find efficiency. Find leverage. It is so fun for me to find these things because it is by far one of the best ROIs of my time. Me finding one tool that helps my team generate more output. It's one fixed input of time that results in basically infinite output. And efficiency relates to everything, right? You don't need to be an entrepreneur for efficiency to be important. Efficiency should be strived for in 100% of the population. Everyone watching this video can be more efficient, and you're probably not doing as much as you can to reach that efficiency level. So I would encourage you guys to start doing that. Okay, let's talk about marketing, because marketing is one of the most important aspects of any business. Most businesses that fail, it's not due to their product or service or whatever they're selling. It's due to their low marketing efforts. For me, one of the biggest losses I've had in business was my clothing brand. It was called Charge, that I started in 2016. And essentially I spent all of my time on developing the product, ordering, building the website, making sure the product was great, all that stuff. I spent $0 almost on marketing, and that was the reason why that business did not work out. After that lesson, I essentially told myself, for whatever business I make in the future, marketing is going to be what I'm in charge of. It's the most important thing that is going to allow that business to be successful. Marketing results in having more eyeballs, and more eyeballs gives you more potential to make more sales or whatever it is. And the easiest way for most people to really crush their marketing is just by doing social media, right? Yes, you can do paid ads. Yes, you can do, let's say, radio ads. You can do print. You can do billboards, stuff like that. But for most companies, I see them severely underutilizing social media. The cool thing about marketing is that it's fun. And the reason it's fun is because you're always testing different marketing strategies to see which ones work the best. For example, for our staffing agency, right now we're testing a bunch of different things. We're testing email. We are testing short form content. We are making a ton of long form content. We're basically setting aside a huge portion of the money that's coming in into marketing spend. And I'd say that for me, my natural thing is organic marketing. I am better at that. I don't have much experience with paid stuff. And so we have a huge media team. We have hosts, we have a bunch of editors, graphics people, website people. We spend a significant amount of money trying to create educational content related to staffing and business owners. And that in return drives a ton of our leads right now. Yeah, the winning formula for marketing is basically first increasing your eyeballs. This is going to be done by increasing the amount of content you do, good content, not bad content. And one quick tip for this that I want to mention is stories always do better than statistics. You're always going to have more conversions, more eyeballs and things when you prioritize stories rather than just statistics that anyone can find. Yeah, going back to the whole strategy, increase your eyeballs by increasing your content and the amount of content you're putting out on all these different platforms. Then optimize by turning those eyeballs into actual leads for your business or service. There are so many different ways you can do that. I'm not going to talk about that in this video because I can talk about that for hours and hours. And yeah, the whole point I'm trying to make is marketing is so important for everything. Sales is so important for everything. So if you yourself are trying to start a business or you currently already have a business, I would really encourage you to devote more resources, time and energy into your marketing approach, into testing different marketing strategies, taking risk with your marketing. Because if you want your business to make money, then probably going to come down to your marketing. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is taxes. I know this is a bit different than the other things I've talked about. This probably won't relate to most of you guys, but if you're making a lot of money or you want to make a lot of money, then you need to start learning about tax strategy. You need to start learning about the ways in which the wealthy are putting their money into things that allow them to pay less in taxes. And yeah, tax strategy, it is probably one of the highest ROI things you guys can do. I think way too many business owners focus too much on, like I said, marketing, building the business, all that stuff. That's all extremely important. But what gets left behind is the taxes. For most businesses, for most wealthy people, taxes are going to be probably their biggest expense. Here in California, paying over 50%, which when I say it is just crazy. But the good thing is that there are a lot of strategies that the IRS, the government, give us in which we can actually reduce legally our taxes. And so this sort of goes back to the whole learning thing, right? You need to spend time doing things and learning things and implementing things that have a big impact on how much money you make, or at least how much money you keep and take home at the end of the day. I'd say that one of my biggest mistakes last year was spending a very small percentage of my time and effort on tax strategy. For sure under 5%. Where if you think about it, it should be at least 10-15% of your time. Most people, they're not going to spend that much time, or they're going to hire someone to do all that stuff for them. But the whole point is spend effort and resources, delegate time and money on things that have a huge impact on whatever you're trying to do, right? That also relates to efficiency. And for me, paying taxes, it cuts hugely into my accumulation of wealth, and it really is going to add on a ton of years for me to reach my net worth goal. If I didn't have to pay taxes, I'd probably get to my net worth goals at least 2 to 3 times faster. For most people, reducing your taxes is likely just going to be reinvesting into your own business, reinvesting into your team, buying supplies, buying tools that help you make more money the next year, and just keep doing that. Pay yourself enough salary to get by and have a good life, but you don't need to take out all that money and pay taxes on it. The other thing that most people should be doing, if they can, is to get into real estate somehow. There are so many ways to utilize real estate to reduce your overall tax bill. I don't talk too much about it on my channel, but I spend a lot of time learning about this. It's probably going to be something that has to do with real estate professional status with the IRS, where you can offset your active income through real estate losses. And by real estate losses, I just mean paper losses. Losses that occur on paper only, and that's basically just going to be depreciation. Real estate really is such a great tool to reduce your taxes if you understand it properly. And so yeah, again, it all comes down to knowledge and spending the effort to be prepared if you have a huge tax bill and you want to lower your tax bill. There's so many things you can do. The last thing I want to talk about is sort of just a whole spiel about why I'm so passionate about the content that I make. I graduated college thinking that I was supposed to go into medicine. My parents wanted me to go to medicine. They wanted me to be a doctor. I never enjoyed that. I never envisioned myself being a successful doctor and really enjoying my life. It just wasn't something that, I could envision. And that's because it's not something that I wanted to do. After graduating college, I ended up not getting into med school, and I started to work for myself. I did a bunch of side hustles, and I decided I want to try and take a more non-traditional approach to making money, to building business, to building a life for myself. I think most people, it just makes sense because we're taught to get a normal job. We're taught to get married by the age of 30, have kids, blah, 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 all that stuff. And that's a good life. You can have a great life doing that. For me, it's not something that I wanted. And so the point of this section is to just be unafraid of going the non-traditional route. Just because something is normal normal or expected in society doesn't mean that it is the correct thing for you to do. Everyone is going to be different, right? Most people are going to want that type of life. And if they don't, then I really hope that they start doing things to actually have the life that they want. Because if they don't, that's just for me sad. I don't like seeing that. Everything that I talk about on my channel, it is about doing things a little bit differently, about making money a little bit differently, doing a side hustle, investing, something that a lot of people struggle with, and just building the type of life that you want. Because at the end of the day, you probably only have, I don't know, 70 to 90 years of life. I have the same 70 to 90 years of life, and I want to make sure that my life is as good as possible. I want your life to be as good as possible too. I want you to have fulfillment. I want you to spend your days doing things that make you happy. And so this, I think, all is a mindset, right? Like if you are in the mindset that you need to do things a very traditional way, a way that's already been paved for you, then you'll probably do that. But if you take on the mindset that all the great things in life that you want are probably from something that's a bit more untraditional, a bit more risky, where there's this whole time where you're probably going to feel lost, then it's probably going to result in you just having a much better life. Life isn't just about money. It's not about efficiency. It's not about learning all the time, all that stuff, right? For me, it's about growth, doing things you like, learning skills you want to learn, spending your days doing things that make you happy. I think most people just aren't doing that. It makes me sad. And so hopefully my type of content, it can inspire you, right? It can allow you to start taking action. And at the end of the day, the thing I just don't want to, die with is a lot of regrets. I don't want to die knowing that I could have done a lot of other cool things in my life. And the way to combat that is basically by starting to implement everything we talked about in this video, because that's going to change your mindset. It's going to change your actions you're doing. It's going to change the speed in which you do your actions. It's going to change how you choose to spend your time, who you spend time with, how you can work a bit more smart so that you don't need to work as hard. Yeah, all this stuff, it is just to help you live a better life. And I really hope that, sharing these lessons has at least somewhat inspired you. I know that I have a lot more to learn in life. I know that in 1 year, my knowledge is going to be significantly higher than where it is right now. In 10 years, it's going to be astronomically higher. And the things I've learned in the last 10 years that have helped me, I'd say, live a pretty special life. The cars I've wanted, the relationship I've wanted, the friends I've wanted, the time freedom that I've wanted. Hopefully this can inspire you, because the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because it worked for me, and I think it can work for you. So yeah, that's, I think, all I wanted to talk about in this video. Hopefully you can click out of this video knowing that you are capable of doing things that you've always wanted to do, and that the only thing that's stopping you is the mindset, the action, the speed, and probably your environment as well. I'm also really curious because I love learning from other people. If you made it this far, I want you to share a life lesson that has really helped you out in your own life, because yeah, we can always learn from each other. And so yeah, I just want to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. All right, my voice is super tired. I haven't talked this much in a while, but again, I really hope you got some value from it. I do a lot of content like this, so if you want to see more videos about investing, entrepreneurship, money, side hustles, all that stuff, then make sure to give this video a like, and also subscribe and turn on that notification bell. Sincerely, thank you for spending so much time with me, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Peace.